What's good, my lovely people? It's your humble servant, Solace. I want to do this video giving y'all a accurate breakdown of slavery because a lot of people have the story misconstrued. Basically, we're all looking at the slavery story from the perspective of the slave. The only way you're going to get clarity is when you begin to look at the slavery from the native black people of the land. And this is how you will acquire the truth. Now, you must understand, before slavery started, you had black people on this continent. Different groups of black people all over the continent. You had white people in Africa, in Britain, and all over. And they had their system and their religions in place. America didn't have any of that. These people lived their way, however they lived. The land was pretty much untouched. Civilization, in a sense of buildings and cars and all this dumb shit, wasn't made there yet. So it was beautiful. So now you have Christopher Columbus and his people. They come to America. They see the land. They see the resources of it. They talk, chop it up with the people, become pretty cool. They leave, go back, tell their kings and those higher up from where they're from. Yo, this land is mad resources, boom, boom, boom. So then they basically say, okay, the kings or whatever, they tell their spokesman or whoever they send, you take these slaves, which is just workers. The same way we live in this system and we work. This is what they called workers, slaves. So you take these slaves or these workers and you go to the Americas, here's money, try to buy some of the land from them. That way we can own that and then we can work the natural resources there and then you can send them back. So this is how it was. A man would go with, they would send a group out. Let's say 1,000 people. The spokesman and the workers, that was workers there. So they send them there because they already working here. We just gonna send our workers there with a leader to lead them to get the resources and send it back. So this is how that happened. They come to America, they orchestrate their little trade or whatever for pieces of the land, and then they begin to handle their business. Now, once this spreads around the world, you have other people like, oh, we going there too, we want to get shit. They don't know what's going on and know it's an agreement. So now you have others just popping up, wanderers and shit. You have others popping up the same way the others did with their slaves and workers, thinking it's a free-for-all. This is how wars and things begin to happen, because it wasn't a free-for-all. The natives of the land let the first group do what they do. They paid for that land. Do y'all thing. We not worried about the resources. We got mad resources. Do y'all thing. Then when others started coming, not understanding that's what's going on, they thinking it's a free-for-all. Now you got people just coming up, settling anywhere, exploiting the resources of the land, sending it back to where they're from. And then this is where you get wars. Now, at the same time, you also have other British and Dutch people who are just regular people trying to escape that life coming here. They ain't got no money, no home, no nothing. They don't even own no land. So when they get to Americas now, you got to get with somebody who own land. This is how life works. You can't just pop up on somebody's land and be a wanderer. This is why if a Mexican comes to America, they're trespassing. Because who you from over here? And this is how it went back in the day. So a regular white person and his wife, kids, would just come over here on their own merit. Now when you get here, how you feeding yourself? Because all the land is occupied. So now you have to submit to a slave owner, which would be a white person. Because natives didn't live in this way, and they wasn't really fucking with white people like that after the shit they did. So a white person came to Americas, they went to the white people who owned the plantations, which was basically like factories. Business factories of land exploiting the resources. So now these white people will go to the plantation owners and, yo, can I work? I need to eat and shit. Okay, y'all can work with the slaves we got, the other workers. And we'll pay y'all food, clothing, and shelter. And you good to live here. You got somewhere to live, you got some clothes, and we feed you. The same shit we do with the other slaves. And this is why you see white men in the cotton fields with black people picking cotton. This is how that happened. Because it's truly not slavery in the way y'all thinking. It's just like how we work now. Whoever wants to be a motherfucking slave, come on. The only way you ain't gonna be a slave is if you own some land. If you don't own no land, then you gonna be a slave. You gotta work. That's how we go now. We all work because we don't own no land, meaning we don't own no resources. So now you have to work for someone in making the resources what they become so you can have somewhere to live and sleep and eat. And this is how it went back then, and this is how it goes now. We have it as this one way. Oh, slaves was brought here on boats, and no. Slaves was brought here on boats, but they were slaves already. So they don't matter. You don't need to think about them when you're trying to find the truth in what's going on with the Americas. They were slaves before they got here. You don't need to focus on them and say, oh my God, that was terrible what happened to them. It was already happening to them. You got to understand the native black people of this land, because that's where the truth lies. They were never enslaved. This is why the British and Dutch was going to war with each other. They both white. They going to war over the resources and the space that's available.